Hi everybody, this is Bonnie with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and I have another cable crochet throw for you today. This one I'm calling the Blue Ridge throw, and just reminds me of the Blue Ridge Mountains, not too far from where I live. And I love the color blue, as you all well know. And I also was trying to make this an attainable blanket for any of you who have seen my work already and are just too intimidated to give this a try. Well, let me just let you know that this focuses on two main types of cables. This is the small honeycomb cable, and which is really not just a cable, but a really nice filler stitch as well. And I'm also using the elongated cables here in a bit of a creative way, but all with front crosses, for those of you who know what a front cross and a back cross may be. So this only uses the front crossing cables, which are much easier. So, and of course you will be learning how to do ribbing as well. So again, not an easy beginner throw, but I would definitely say if you're a confident beginner and you want to give cables a try, this might be the one for you. And those of you who are seasoned crocheters, this is one that you can kick back and relax and enjoy. And I just believe the texture is really lovely. And I'll go ahead and put some other pictures in there as I'm explaining that. All right, well, let's go ahead and I'll show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using PaintBox Yarns Simply Aran. Let's take a look at this. It is a 100% acrylic worsted weight yarn, or Aran weight. It is 3.5 ounces or 100 grams per skein, which is the same as 201 yards or 184 meters. The color I am using today is SA74, which is a medium blue. Be careful that all of the skeins of yarn that you're going to be using have a matching dye lot if they use a dye lot. Very, very important. Go ahead and check on that now before you begin. The number of skeins of yarn that I will be using for this throw will be listed across the bottom. Also, feel free to use your favorite worsted weight yarn if you don't have this yarn available. I'll also be using a size I or 9 or 5.50 millimeter crochet hook. And as always, I'm suggesting that you have a pair of sharp scissors and a yarn needle handy. To begin, we're going to start with a slip knot. And then we're going to crochet 181 chains. After crocheting the 181 chains, we're going to start with a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th chain. We're going to work a double crochet in that chain, and then each chain all the way across. So at the end of this row, you should have a total of 178 double crochets, and that's not counting the turning chain or the chain 3 at the beginning. For row 2, we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the first stitch, and in the next stitch, we're going to work a front post double crochet. And if you've never done a post stitch, you just work your hook around the body of the stitch like this. Pull up a loop and then complete the stitch as normal. For a back post, the next stitch will be a back post. You're going to come in from behind the back side, and the hook will work its way around the stitch like you're giving it a belt, just like the other. And then we complete the stitch. So we generally call this ribbing. So we're going to work front post, double crochet, followed by a back post, double crochet, and we're going to work this all the way across. So go ahead and work this across the row, and I'll show you how the row ends. Row 2 ends by working a front post double crochet on that last stitch, and then in the chain 3 space we're going to work a half double crochet. So we still end up with the same stitch count of 178 stitches. Now for row 3, we're going to turn, chain 2. It's going to be very similar to the second row, but with a minor difference. We're going to skip that half double crochet. Instead of starting with a front post, we're going to start the odd number rows with a back post double crochet, followed by a front post double crochet. So go ahead and work this all the way across, and when you get to the end of this row, it's going to end with a back post double crochet, and then you work the half double in the chain 2 turning chain. And so that's what you would do at the completion of row 3. After you complete row 3, I'm going to have you repeat rows 2 and 3 again until you have a total of 9 rows of the ribbing. So that would be 3 repeats of rows 2 and 3. Okay, so go ahead and complete row 3 and then work rows 4 through 9. So this is what the ribbing should look like after you have completed 9 rows. Now we're going to turn to work row 10, which is going to be the beginning of the cabling section. Okay, so this is a very important row, and this is where we're going to be laying the foundation of everything that we're going to do from this point forth until we convert again to the ribbing at the very end. Okay, so for row 10, we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip that first stitch. Now we're going to work ribbing over the next 12 stitches. So we have a front post and then a back post, and we're going to repeat that a total of 6 times. So that was once, and this is the second time. Let's try that stitch again. Front post, back post, and we're going to keep going until we have a total of 12 stitches. I'm going to take a lot of time with this particular row. I'm not going to take as much time with the other rows. It's just that this is very, very important. So let's go ahead and take a stitch count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. So let's pull some more yarn off of here. After we do that, okay, let's take a look at this. So you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. And this is just going to continue upward, continual ribbing. So it's going to be like the frame for these cables. And the first set of cables that we're going to be working is the small honeycomb. But before we do that, we're going to work a wattle stitch, which is kind of a spacer stitch. In the next stitch, which is right here, and working in the top loops, we're going to work a single crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet, all in that same space. Okay, and so then we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and this is just part of the way the wattle stitch works. Now we're going to skip 2 more stitches, 1, 2 more, so that we can begin the small honeycomb. So let's take a look at this again. So we're skipping the first 2. This is the wattle stitch. We'll skip the next 2 stitches for that wattle stitch, and then for the start of the honeycomb, we're going to skip 1, 2 more. In that next stitch, we're going to work a front post treble. It's like a front post double, except you have wrapped the hook 2 times to prepare. And then we're going to work another one. Okay. pull some more yarn off. Now we're going to work what I call a back cross, which means we're going to cross behind these cables, but we're going to work front post trebles first here and then here. And this is the first time you've tried this. Just know that it's a little awkward at first, but with practice, it does become kind of a normal thing to do, kind of a normal stitch. And I am relying greatly on the nerve endings in my thumb and my fingers here of my non-dominant hand. Wrap the hook. I'm going to come behind these 2 stitches, and I've located this post stitch that we're going to work in right here with my fingers and the hook. Then you can even pull this down in front and see that stitch, and then complete that front post treble. And then we're going to do the stitch right beside it. Come in the back, locate that stitch. You can actually, again, pull down the stitches in front, and then complete that front post treble crochet. The second part of the honeycomb is a little bit easier. We're going to skip 2 more stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Now working in front of these 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble in these 2 stitches that we skipped, first this one and then the next one. Always go with the one furthest away, and then the next stitch. Okay, let's pause and take a look at that. So this is the beginning of one of the honeycombs. It's an 8-stitch foundation, but now we're going to work 3 honeycomb foundations. So let's go ahead and work another one. Skip 2, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Just like we did this one over here, we're going to work behind these 2 stitches and then start with a front post treble. You can again pull this down, those other 2 stitches down to reveal where those other stitches are. You can certainly do it that way, and you can see that other stitch right there. That's the first half, and then skip 2 more. Front post trebles in the next 2 stitches. After working those 2 stitches, we're going to work in front of those 2 stitches and work front post trebles in those 2 stitches that we skipped. So let's go ahead and pause and take a look. And so now you see we have 2 foundations, or 2 honeycombs, and let's say, so the stitches should go down and then up, down, and then up, just like that. And we have 1 more to create. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, working behind those 2 stitches. I'm going to front post treble here and then here. So I'm hoping this will be giving you enough practice on seeing where these stitches are. That is the biggest learning curve in learning these cables, is just where to put the stitches, I think. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in the 2 stitches that we skipped, which should be getting easier for you to see these. All right, so let's stop. Make sure that we have 3. So we have down, up, and down, up with these large V's, which are the foundation for these honeycombs. In the next stitch, we're going to work a wattle stitch. The next stitch is here, and working in through the top loops, a single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. So now after that wattle stitch is completed, we're going to skip 2 more stitches. 1, 2, again, that's so the wattle stitch has room, and I think you'll understand this stitch better as we go forward, but just make sure you skip 2 stitches. Now the next 5 stitches, we're going to work just as continuing the ribbing, and they're going to be spacers in between the different motifs we're going to use. So we're going to work a front post, double crochet, a back post, double crochet, again a front post, a back post, and then a front post. Let's stop and take a look at that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, and again this is going to continue up just like the frame on the outside, each side will. And then we're going to work another wattle stitch. Again, this helps to space these motifs. Single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And again, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2. Now we're going to work the foundation for the lovely cables. And we're going to do that by working 3 front post double crochets. We're going to actually work 4 columns for this cable. So that's 1 column with the 3 front post. Then we're going to work a half double worked into the top loops. This stitch will be recessed or kind of set back a bit from the cable, and it'll again help to give this cabling definition. And then we're going to do this a few more times. 3 front post double crochets, and then another half double worked into the top loops. Let's pull off some more yarn, and then again 3 front post double crochets, followed by a half double, and then 3 more front post doubles, and we're going to stop there. 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look at what we have. And what I want you to double check here is to make sure that we haven't double dipped on any of these stitches, because if we did, then we're going to be a little bit off on our stitch count when we get to the end of this row. So we have 3 front post, a half double, 3 front post, a half double, 3 front post, a half double, and then 3 front posts, so it looks good. After this, we are going to work another wattle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then we're going to again work that 5 stitch motif. We're going to skip 2 stitches first, 1, 2, again for the wattle stitch, and then 5 front and back, so front post, back post, front post, and then a back post, and then a front post. So I'm going to finish this with you, but this is the first of the repeats. So we're going to repeat the wattle stitch, the 3 foundations for the small honeycomb, another wattle stitch, and then we're going to repeat these 5 stitches, the wattle stitch, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, which is the foundation for the cables we're going to be working, and the wattle stitch. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to do that one more time, and then the last repeat, just to let you know, we're only going to have to work the honeycombs. So let's go ahead and do this again. So this is going to be the first repeat. So if you're reading the written pattern, you're going to be instructed to repeat what I just said, and that's basically what I'm going to demonstrate here. So we're going to start with that wattle stitch. After that wattle stitch, be sure that you skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2. Okay. So skip these, and then we're going to skip 1, 2 more for the honeycomb. So let's go ahead and work front post trebles in those first 2 stitches. Remember, working behind these 2 stitches, we're going to work front post trebles here and here. So let's come back behind. Again, you can pull those stitches down if that helps you to see these better. Let's pull off some more yarn. And then the stitch right next to it is right here. And then we're going to skip 2 more stitches. I'm doing this a little bit faster because I did take a lot of time on the first one. If you need to slow down, you can always slow the camera. Okay, go ahead and work in front of those 2. You can slow the speed of this video by looking in the bottom right of the screen. There should be a little gear-shaped icon around here. If you're looking at the phone, it should be up in the upper hand corner, right hand corner. And you just click on that and it brings up a playback speed, and then you select from that menu which speed you want. You want half as fast, you want 3/4 as fast, you want even 1/4 as fast. You can really slow it down a lot. So, and that works for my videos both on the YouTube platform as well as the Watch Channel platform. Yay, we had to wait for that, but we have that feature now. And if you don't know what the Watch Channel is, you can look in the video description below. It's a paid subscriber base channel that has many things that I do here and more. All right, so after completing the first honeycomb, let's look at the next one. Skip 2 more stitches. Front post treble crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, working behind those stitches, work a front post treble in those 2 stitches that we skipped. Again, my fingers, I'm using the nerve endings in my thumb and fingers a lot to help me find what I can't necessarily see all the time. Okay, skip the next 2. And front post treble in those next 2 stitches. Working in front of these, we're going to front post treble into 2 skip stitches. So this section here that we're working will actually be in the absolute center of the throw. So how many did we make? I think I have 2. And always be visually checking that they go down and up, or at least for this row. Skip the next 2 stitches. Front post treble the next 2. Okay, and if you're not sure what direction, you know that you worked in front of this last one, so we're going to work behind these 2. Work those front post trebles. And then we finish this one off. Skip 2. Front post treble and those next 2 stitches. Working in front of those 2 stitches. Front post treble and those 2 stitches that we skipped. And I am going to stop again and double check. They go down, then up, down, then up, down, then up. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this row and instructing in how to check, what to check, and whatnot. It is pretty important, and it just will prevent you from going back and having to redo many rows. How do I know this? Well, that has been my experience at times when I just kind of rush through and I don't stop to do a visual check at the end of each row. So I just highly recommend when you finish each row, stop and check. Okay, the next stitch is a wattle stitch. We're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and now we're going to crochet 5, and this one's going to start with a back post then a front post, a back post, and then a front post, and then a back post. And I'm going to have you, okay, so after we do that, I'm going to have you do one more stitch. So we're going to make 6 stitches here so that we end with a front post here. Okay, so 6 stitches in this particular section. After we do that, it's time for another waddle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same stitch, and on the foundation row we skip 2. And now it's time to work another foundation for those cables. So we're going to work 3 front post double crochets, a half double worked into the half double, and we're going to do this 2.5 more times. So 3, or the pattern will say repeat it 2 more times, and then we'll repeat only the 3 front post double crochets. So far we have 1 set, 2 sets, let's do another set, 3 front post double crochets, and then a half double crochet, and then the last set is just 3 front post double crochets. Now we're going to work another waddle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, okay, for that waddle stitch, and then we're going to work 5 of those front and back posts. So front post, back post, front post. Let's pull some more yarn off of my spool. Back post, front post. So let's stop. Just make sure that we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the only place you're not going to have 5 is right here where you're going to have 6. And that's just has to do with the way the multiples worked out as we work the ribbing across the row. Okay? Maybe that will be understood in a bit. So now what we're going to do is just work one more section with the honeycomb. So we're going to make a waddle stitch in the next stitch again, and then we're going to work the honeycomb, but we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2 for the waddle stitch, and then 1, 2 more for this honeycomb. So that's 2 front post trebles. Now working behind these 2 stitches. Again, I'm taking a lot of time, hopefully to instruct, so that I won't have to take as much time later. And then the other stitch. So we're working 2 front post trebles behind. Again, that would be what we would call a back cross. And for the next section, skip 2 front post treble. The next 2 stitches. Now we're going to do a front cross, working in front of these 2 stitches. We're going to front post treble here and then here. Okay, so we have 1. Let's do 2 more. Skip 2 stitches. Front post treble in those next 2 stitches. Working behind, we're going to front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. That's 1. And the second one is right here. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble and the next 2 stitches, and working in front, doing a front cross, front post treble in those 2 stitches. Now we're going to do one more. Skip 2 stitches. And I will say that once you establish this first row of the cabling, which is actually row 10, but the first row of the cabling, it does become easier because you don't have to depend upon the pattern as much, or on the video, I hope. Okay, so working behind these 2. This is the 3rd honeycomb we're making. But you won't have to depend upon the pattern really as much, because once you understand it visually, it will go much faster. I know that's hard to believe at this point, but those who followed some of my videos know what I'm talking about. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in those next 2, and then working in front of those last 2 stitches. We're going to front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so let's pause. Make sure that we have 3 honeycomb foundations, which we do. They go down, up, down, up, down, up with the crossing of the cables, and it looks like they do. So now here comes the truth of the matter to see if we have the right math and if we've crocheted the right number of stitches. In the next stitch, we work a waddle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then so now starting in the next stitch, we're going to work the ribbing, starting with a back post. Okay, and you're going to want to keep a count on some of these ribbing stitches as we go along, because it's real easy to forget the back post double crochets. And then we go with a front post, back post, and these are those 12 stitches. So let's go ahead. So that's 3, 4, and then a back post, 5, front post, 6, back post, 7, front post, 8, back post, these are all double crochets, 9, and then 10, 11, and bingo, 12. Yay, it's always very satisfying when the math works out. And then work a half double crochet into that turning chain. So now, just like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to stop before I go on to the next row, and let's double check to make sure we have what we have. The honeycombs look right, and you do have wattle stitches, that's W-A-T-T-L-E on each side. We have those post stitches, a wattle stitch, the 4 columns, a wattle stitch, and again the ribbing separators, wattle stitch. We have 3 honeycombs again, 1, 2, 3, that looks good, wattle stitch, these separators. Now this is where you have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is by design. And then we have a wattle stitch, again 1, 2, 3, 4 columns for the cable that we're going to be working on, wattle stitch, the 5 stitches here, post stitches, front and back post, wattle stitch, and then 3 more honeycombs, down, up, down, up, down, up. Just do a quick visual. Of course, you can do it faster than what I just explained, but definitely take the time at the end of each row. It will save you many hours and painful ripping out or frogging, as we crocheters sometimes like to call that horrible process. Okay, for row 11, you're going to have the back side facing, and this is going to be a lot more straightforward. Chain 2, always skip that first half double, and then we're going to work those 12 front and back posts. Starts with the back post double crochet and then a front post. So I'll go ahead and work those 12 stitches now. we come to the wattle stitch, and we're going to only work in the chain one space. So you should see a big hole there where that chain one space is, and we work another wattle stitch, single crochet, chain one, and a double crochet. If you follow me very long, you're going to know this is one of my favorite ways to make crocheted fabric that you're not necessarily featuring, but it kind of helps to enhance the other cabling that you're working. So for the next 8, 16, 24 stitches, we're just going to work back post double crochets all the way across. So back post double crochet across all of those honeycomb stitches. Just like this. And just be sure that you have 8 back post double crochets for every honeycomb, or another way you can look at it is for each of these crossings where they cross in front or behind, you should have a grouping of 4 stitches. So in other words, let me finish this one and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is just a good way to keep track. So here we have the first crossing. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 back post, and the next one 1, 2, 3, 4 back post double crochets. So I'm going to work those across all of these. Okay, gathering more yarn. And then again, 4 more back post double crochets. And then that last honeycomb. It's just a lot of back post double crochets, which really makes this, I think, kind of a very approachable design once you understand how these are formed. And then 4 more. Okay, I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to let you look at the front to just see what that is doing. So this is enhancing this even more, so that when we make the next row, we're going to be crossing these again, and you're actually going to see honeycombs at the end of the next row. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Got a little bit more to accomplish before we get to that point. We get to another wattle stitch, and you see that opening there where the chain 1 space was. Work a wattle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that space. Okay, now we come to those 5 stitches. Now you're going to start with the back post. It'd be very easy to forget the back post to just go with the front. Don't do that. Make sure you have 5 of these, and again in that one place you're going to have 6. So 1, 2, 3, that's a back post, front post, and then back post. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches there. Brings us to another wattle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, worked in that chain 1 space, and then we're going to work on the back side of where we work those front posts for the cable. So what we're going to do is work 3 back post double crochets. We get back into the camera view. Half double worked into the top loops of the half double. That's the way you'll always work those half doubles. And then 3 more back post double crochets. Half double worked into the top loops. 3 more back post double crochets. Half double worked into the half double. and then 3 more back post double crochets. Okay, and another wattle stitch. We work the wattle stitch in that chain 1 space, and now we come to the part where we have the 6 stitches. So you can feel this back post. Don't forget that back post. This is where the 6 stitches are. Back post, front post, back post, front post, back post, and front post. Wattle stitch and the next wattle stitch. And then we're going to repeat that again. So I'm going to just explain so that you can see. And if you have questions, you can just go back to the beginning of this row. So again, we're going to work back post double crochets over the next 24 stitches of the honeycomb, wattle stitch in the chain 1 space, and then we have, starting with the back post, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. So back post, front post, back post, front post, back post. Wattle stitch again in that chain 1 space, and then working the back side of the cable, 3 back post, half double, 3 back post, half double, 3 back post, half double, 3 back post. Wattle stitch in the wattle stitch, right in that chain 1 space, and then again we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. So be careful, this is not a stitch down here. We've already worked in this when we were working the last row, when we worked the wattle stitch. So the first stitch is going to be the back post, front post, back post, front post, back post. Okay, this is not a stitch. And then we work in the wattle stitch, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that chain 1 space, and then again 8 back post double crochets over each of these clusters. So that's going to give you 24 back post double crochets over these stitches, wattle stitch into wattle stitch, and then starting with the front post, front post double crochet, back post, front post, back post over those next 12 stitches, and you're going to end with a back post and then a half double worked into the turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 11. This is what you should have after completing 11 rows. I'm just going to show you the 2 sections because it is redundant. We have the honeycomb section, and again these columns that will be growing in between the different motifs, wattle stitches, and the foundations for the cables. And we're going to start crossing the cables this row. I'll just go ahead and show you the whole thing. All right, so let's go ahead and start. So to start row 12, start with a chain 2, and then we're going to work those ribbing stitches. Again, always skip the first stitch along this end. So we start with a front post and then a back post, and go ahead and work that over those first 12 stitches, front post, back post, front post, back post. Just as additional reminder, the 12th stitch will be a back post. Again, that's one of those stitches that is easy to forget, so please don't forget that stitch because that will change the stitch count dramatically. All right, so now we come to the wattle stitch, and working in that chain 1 space, we work another wattle stitch, which again is the combination of the single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Now we're going to work the honeycomb, and we're going to do the opposite of what we did on row 10, where we worked a back cross and then a front cross. Well, now we're going to work a front cross over these 4 stitches and then a back cross over the next 4, and you'll see the honeycomb form. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in those next 2 stitches, Now working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble here and here. Right, there we go. Okay, now for the other side, skip 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Now working behind these 2 stitches, and you can again pull these back to reveal the 2 stitches. Go ahead and front post treble in those 2 stitches that we skipped. Let's pause and take a look at this so that you can see how the honeycomb has been formed. So let's do that a couple more times. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, we front post treble in those 2 skipped stitches, and skip 2, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, and working behind those 2 stitches, we front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. Let's pause and take a look. And so you can see the honeycombs forming. One more to go. Skip 2, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in the 2 skip stitches. Again, this would be the front cross, and now we do a back cross. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in those next 2 stitches, and working behind these 2 stitches, we front post treble into 2 skipped stitches, making a back cross. And that is the honeycomb section. So after that, we're going to work a wattle stitch in that chain 1 space. So you can see a lot of what we're going to be doing is very redundant. Okay, so now we have another 5 stitches where we start with a front post, then a back post, front post, back post, and back to the front post. Okay, and then we do the wattle stitch. So now we come to the crossing of the cables, and to start we're going to continue these 2 columns, and these 2 columns we are actually going to cross with front cross. They front cross. All the cables will be crossed with front crosses. All right, so we're going to work front post double crochets on those first 3 stitches, a half double in the half double, and now we're going to cross this with the front cross. It's going to be a little bit different than the honeycomb, but still very similar. We're going to skip 3 stitches because this is a little bit wider of a cable. Half double in that half double crochet, and then we're going to work front post trebles in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Now working in front of those last 4 stitches, the half double and those 3 front posts, we're going to front post treble here, here, and then here. Let's come all the way over. It's going to feel like you're coming over a large distance, but it's really not that much. Okay, that's one, that's two, and the third right here. And then we're going to work a half double in that next stitch, and then front post double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So let's pause and take a look at what we have. So you see just these 2 center columns were crossed, and these will just continue upward as we go for a little bit. Waddle stitch in the next stitch in that chain 1 space, and now we work another 5 of those post stitches. So front post double crochet, back post, front post, followed by a back post and a front post. Waddle stitch in that chain 1 space. And then now we are back to the honeycombs. So I will do this with you again. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, and we're going to close this up. So we're going to work a front cross, skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, front post treble, the next 2 stitches, and then working behind these 2 stitches, we front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. And again, let's pause and make sure that we did this correctly. That looks pretty good. So let's do the next 2. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble and the 2 stitches that we just skipped. Skip 2 stitches, front post treble in those next 2 stitches, and then again working behind these 2 stitches, we front post treble in the 2 skipped stitches. And then we have one more. Skip 2, front post treble in the next 2. Now working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in those 2 skipped stitches, and skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2. So as you can see, the honeycomb is very repetitive. Okay, and work behind those last 2 stitches with those front post trebles. And let's work a waddle stitch, and then we're going to take a look at this again. All right. So I'm just doing a visual check to make sure that yes, we have 3 honeycombs. All right, and let's go ahead. This is the section where you have 6 stitches, so don't forget the back post, double crochet, then a front post, then a back post, then a front post, back post, and a front post. And if you're wondering why in the world did I do it that way, it's just so that one is that we don't drop a stitch, but also that we have these 3 front posts separating the motifs all throughout. Okay, and wattle stitch. Now I'm going to cross these cables for you again, and then I'm going to leave you to work the honeycomb since we've already done that twice. All right, so the cable crossing once again, we just work front post, doubles on the first 3 stitches, half double in that half double, and then now it's time to do the cable crossing. We're going to skip the first 3 stitches, half double in that next stitch, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, okay, working in front of those last 4 stitches. That would be the 3 front post and the half double. We come all the way over here and we're going to work front post treble here, here, and here. And there's our 3rd stitch. Half double in the top loops of that next half double. And then 3 more front post double crochets. And then I'll work this wattle stitch with you. Now for the rest, again we have the 5 post stitches, front post, back post, front post, back post, front post, a wattle stitch worked in the chain 1 space here, and then we're going to work a front cross, a back cross, a front cross, a back cross, a front cross, a back cross. And if you're not sure what I mean, just back the video up a little bit so you can see what I worked previously in this row. Wattle stitch in the chain 1 space here, and then starting with a back post, we're going to work over 12 post stitches, starting with the back post, then front post, etc., ending with a front post double crochet, and then work a half double in the turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 12. So this is what you should have at the end of 12 rows. You should have 3 honeycombs. I'm going from left to right now. The 3, you can see the 3 front posts. Of course, you have back post in between those. And you have the wattle stitches. You have the crossed cable here with the 2 columns. Again, 3 more of those front posts. Then you have the 3 back posts. This is where you have the 6 stitches and not the 5. A wattle stitch. Again, 3 honeycombs. Again, you're checking to make sure they are formed correctly. And you have 3 front post stitches here and 2 back posts there. Wattle stitches on each side. Another cable. Make sure it's crossed with the front cross. We have wattle stitches here. More of these 3 front posts with the back post. And then 3 honeycombs. Wattle stitches on each side. And then you have the 12 front and back post alternating ribbing. So now it's time for us to go to row 13, which is very similar to row number 11. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip that first stitch and we're going to work those 12 ribbing stitches, starting with the back post and then a front post. Alternate over those first 12 stitches. After those 12 stitches, make sure you end with a front post double crochet. We work the wattle stitch, again, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet worked into that chain 1 space. And then we're going to work, let's just talk through this because we've done this before. Go ahead and work those 24 back post double crochets, the wattle stitch, and then the back post, front post, back post, front post, back post, and then the wattle stitch. Go ahead and work that much, and then I will show you how to work the back post after a cable crossing. So I've completed the back post double crochets over the honeycomb section, and just to be clear, there are 24 stitches. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front side, and you see how these are much more beautiful now and much more defined after that row of the back post double crochets. Okay, so that's what you're going to do over both of those, the two remaining honeycomb sections. And this is what you're going to do over the cable section. So we're going to work back post double crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. And those are just back post double crochets. Then we're going to work a half double crochet in that next half double, working in the top loops. Now we're going to work 3 back post double crochets in each of those 3 stitches that were crossed. These will be the stitches that are on top on the back side. After that, we're going to work a half double. This is the big difference here. So you're going to work a half double in between that last stitch and next stitch. It's the center of where these cables crossed. After that, you have 3 more back post double crochets. These are the cables that or the column that we crossed in front of. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're paying attention mathematically, you notice that I added a stitch in here. Okay, well, we're going to skip this half double, which is kind of way back here, and we're going to work our next half double in this one. All right, so that's where we basically zero it out. So we are skipping 1 stitch here, but we added another stitch in the half double crochet in here. I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but I know there's a mathematician out there who's going to say, wait a minute, you're adding in stitches. Well, actually, yes, but then we're skipping a stitch, so it all factors out. It zeroes out so that the stitch count will stay constant. Okay, so we work 3 more back post double crochet. So again, let me just review that because I'm going to send you off to finish out this row. 3 back post doubles over the cabling section, half double into half double, 3 more back post doubles, a half double in between that last stitch and next stitch, which is the center of where the cables cross. You should be able to get your finger through there very easily. And then 3 more back post double crochets. Skip this half double, work a half double in this one, which is the one that's in next to these other stitches that we're going to work in, and then 3 more back post double crochets. So go ahead and work that. I'm going to work this wattle stitch with you again. And is this the place? Yes, this is the place next where you have the 6 stitches. I'll work this with you because this is a little bit of an oddity. Now, if you're concerned that you're going to forget that other stitch, what you could even do is get a stitch marker and, you know, mark this section. You can just, I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to just mark this section just so that I know that it is an oddity in that it has 6 stitches instead of 5 stitches with the back post, front post. I'll just do this with you too. Back post, front post, back post, and front post. And I'm just going to leave that stitch marker on the other side because just having it there is going to remind me that there are extra stitches. So after that, we'll work another wattle stitch, and then again those 24 back post double crochets over the honeycomb section, wattle stitch, again those 5 post stitches here, wattle stitch, and then we do the other back post double crochets, half double, 3 back post doubles, and then a half double in between the last stitch and next stitch. So hopefully I said back post doubles here. Yes, half double in between, and then 3 more back post double crochets. Skip this half double here, and then 3 more back post double crochets. Again, waddle 5 of these back post, front post, back post, front post, back post stitches, and then again waddle stitch, and then 8 stitches more. There I go again, 24 stitches, correct myself, 24 back post double crochets over the honeycomb section, waddle stitch, and again, okay, we're starting with a front post here, front post, back post over those 12 stitches, and then half double crochet in the turning chain right there. So go ahead and finish row 13. All right, we have finished 13 rows, and you can see that the honeycombs are very well defined. And our cable is getting better too. You can see the cable shaping up a bit. Now for the next 2 rows, it's actually going to be very similar to what we've already done, but I'm going to go ahead and work it with you. This is row 14, or I'll work part of it with you. We're going to chain 2, skip the first stitch, and then again, front post, back post over those first 12 stitches. So go ahead and work those and that waddle stitch, and then I'll show you how to work the honeycomb after that. So before we go on to the honeycomb, I just wanted to remind you one more time to don't forget that 12th stitch, which is a back post double crochet. Not trying to bug you too much, but just enough so that you don't forget to do that stitch. So now row 14 is, we're going to be repeating row 1 of the honeycomb. So that would be working a back cross and then a front cross. So let's go ahead and do that. Skip those next 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2. Now working behind those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble in the 2 stitches that we skipped. And again, you can pull these front 2 stitches down to reveal those 2 stitches. There we go. All right, so now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches and front post treble in the next 2 stitches. And working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to make a front cross and work front post treble in those 2 skipped stitches. And so let's just pause a minute. So we have a back cross and a front cross here. And once I complete the next 4 stitches, you're going to see how other honeycombs are going to appear in between. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Working behind those stitches, we're going to front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. Okay, and then skip the next 2, front post treble in those next 2 stitches. And then working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. And again, skip the next 2, front post treble in those next 2 stitches. And now working behind those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble in those 2 stitches that we skipped. And skip 2, front post treble in those next 2 stitches. And working in front of those last 2 stitches, front post treble, and the 2 stitches that we just skipped. Okay, and we're going to work this wattle stitch, and then we're going to pause and take a look at this cabling section. I just really love the way these honeycombs turn out. So this is the first set of honeycombs, and we're building the second set, but look what happens is you end up with honeycombs formed in the in between the other honeycomb. So it's a really fun stitch. I think it offers a really nice kind of a neutral texture. You know, it's neither feminine nor masculine. It can go either way. So really fun to crochet these. So we're going to crochet again these, let's see, the 5 post stitches. So we have a front post, a back post, and I'm doing these kind of quickly because you should be able to do these. Front post, back post, and front post. And then we work our wattle stitch. And I'm just going to do this one time. It's very straightforward for row 14. We're just going to work front post double crochets over each of these post stitch groupings, half double in the half double crochets, and that's what we're going to do all the way across. We're just growing this cable a little bit. Front post double crochets in each of those post stitches, and again half doubles in the half double crochet. Very important. Front post in the next 3 stitches, half doubles in the half doubles, and again 3 more front post double crochets. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a pause. So again, I'm going to show you from the beginning. Then we have the post stitches. Don't forget there is that one that we put a stitch marker on that's going to have 6, so just be aware of that. And this is the way the cable is going to grow. Now I'm going to go ahead and speak into the next row, which is going to be row 15. We're going to work, of course, with the back side facing, and when you come back for the cable portion, we're just going to work back post double crochets. There's 3 back post doubles, half double, 3 back posts, half double, 3 back post, half double, 3 back post double crochets. And of course, all of these will have a total of 24 back post double crochets over these. And you know the wattle stitches, and you know to look out for these ribbed stitches already. So I'm going to go ahead and have you finish this row in the same fashion like I just showed you on these honeycombs. And then I want you to turn, chain 2, turn, and then work back again, just following your direction with the ribbed to maintain those 12 stitches. And again, just going to be working back post double crochets over these with, of course, the half doubles in between. And again, this will be 24 back post double crochets. So go ahead and finish row 14 and then work row 15 after that. So this is what you should have after completing 15 rows. So you can see how nicely these honeycombs are coming along. Even though you have 3 wide, you have honeycombs showing up in between, and this will happen throughout. And you see the ribbed stitches, how these will be dividing these different motifs. And this is what our cable looks like right now. Now for row 16, we're actually going to repeat, let's see, 15, 14, 13, 12. We're going to repeat row 12, which is the crossing of the cable here. Okay, so we're going to repeat row 12, but I will talk talk you through this at first. All right, so go ahead and do a chain 2 and work front post, back post over those 12 stitches and the wattle stitch, and then I'll start you off on the honeycomb. So after completing those 12 stitches, again, don't forget that back post double crochet, which is the 12th stitch, and that wattle stitch, it's time to work the honeycomb, and we're going to skip those 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Now let's stop and look at this visually. You know it's time to close the top up here. So we're going to work front post double crochets working in front. So this is also referred to as a front cross. Skip the next 2 stitches. And then now we're going to work behind these 2 stitches so that we can work a back cross. Now working behind those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble in those 2 stitches that we just skipped. Whoops, time for more yarn and the second stitch. Go ahead and work those strands in later. Again, skip 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in the 2 stitches that I just skipped. I'll go ahead and finish this out with you. Skip the next 2, front post treble in those next 2 stitches. And you can tell that I need to work behind this, because if I worked in front, then it would kind of mess up that honeycomb pattern. So I think as you go along with this, you'll be able to see visually just what you need to do. But again, always stop, especially with the front side facing. Stop and take a look at your work before going onward with additional rows. Okay, skip 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches, working in front of those 2 stitches, front post treble in those 2 skipped stitches, and 2 more. Skip 2, front post treble in those next 2 stitches, working behind those stitches, front post treble in those 2 stitches that we have skipped. All right, so let's go ahead and pause, take a breather here. And so I want you to see these honeycombs, how we have 1, 2 completed rows, but you also see other honeycombs again that are appearing. So it's quite a fun motif. All right, so we are going to continue. Let's go ahead and work the wattle stitch in that next chain 1 of last row's wattle stitch. Then we have the 5 ribbed stitches, which act as visual dividers. And this one has 5, so front post, back post, front post, back post, and front post. Then we have another wattle stitch. Now we're going to cross up the cable again, and we're going to maintain this column here. We're just going to continue growing it. We're going to continue growing this for a while because we're going to have this cable crossing inside for a bit. Half double and that next half double. Now it's time to cross this beautiful cable, and we do this again. Skip 3 stitches, half double in that next half double crochet, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to pause here so that you can see what this looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. Now I'm going to work in front of these last 4 stitches, those 3 post stitches and the half double. Come all the way over here, and we're going to work front post trebles in each of the next, or each of the 3 stitches that we skipped. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do a half double over here. I'm going to show this to you in just a second. Then 3 more front post double crochets. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is what the cable section should look like. Okay, so this is coming up, and then you have this cable crossed right there. So let me give you a little bit of insight. We are going to do this much again. So these are just going to continue growing. Okay. So for the rest of row 16, we're just going to continue what we just did here with the honeycombs. And when you get to the other cable, we're going to do it the same. Okay. If you need additional stitch support, just back the video up a little bit so that you can see this. But by now, this should be starting to fall into place. Okay, this is our 6th row working these cables. So go ahead and continue on, and remember I have my stitch marker here just reminding me that we have 6 front and back post stitches here instead of the usual 5. So go ahead and continue working this all the way across, and when you finish that, we're going to work row 17, which is going to be very much like row 13. Again, everything is the same as far as working 24 back post double crochets across the cut this part out. Working those 24 back post double crochets across the honeycomb stitch. The ribbing is all the same. The wattle stitches are all the same. The only thing that's going to be different is when you come back on row 17, you're going to have to work that half double crochet in between the last stitch and the next stitch where the cables were crossed. Okay? So go ahead and finish row 16 and then work row 17. This is what you should have after completing 17 rows. So you can see the honeycomb is very much established. And this is what we have with the cable section. I'll go ahead and show you the entire throw. Okay, so now we're going to work rows 18 and 19, and I'm going to explain them. The ribbing will just continue the way we've been working it. Chain 2, skip that half double, and begin with a front post, back post, etc. over those 12 stitches. Again, don't forget the 12th stitch is a back post double crochet, wattle stitches in the wattle stitches in the chain 1 space. Okay, for row 18, we're going to work a back cross and then a front cross because we're working the row that looks like this. Okay, that's going to be a repeat of row 14, so which will actually be row 1 of the honeycomb if you're using the written pattern, because this is a 4-row repeat, 1 2 3 4 on the honeycomb. Okay, so again, this will be a back cross, a front cross, back cross, front cross, back cross, and then a front cross over here. Wattle stitch, and again, front post, back post, etc. For the cable, we're just going to elongate this. We're going to work front post double crochets over these columns. Again, half doubles in between, the way we've been working them. And then for the row that follows, row 19, will be worked, you just work back post double crochets over each of these. All right. And again, when you work the honeycomb is the same way like I just explained. It's a repeat of row 14 if you're following the written pattern, or it is also row 1 of the honeycomb stitch. And then we're going to work row 2 with the back side facing, and again row 19 with the back side facing. You just work back post double crochets over those 24 stitches to complete row 19. All right, so go ahead and work rows 18 and 19. This is what you should have after completing 19 rows. I'm going to go ahead and show the entire project. And this is the center, and this is the place with the 6 stitches instead of 5. Okay. Now we're ready to work row 20, and let's talk about this a little bit. So we're going to start with the chain 2 and the 12 stitches, back post, front post, back post, front post, etc. Don't forget the back post. Wattle stitch. We're going to work the honeycomb stitch, and it's going to be just like the row we worked down here, where we work a front cross, a back cross, a front cross, a back cross, front cross, back cross. Okay, you can look, if you're following the written pattern, it will be row 3 of the honeycomb that we're going to work here. Then wattle stitch, again, front post, back post, front post, back post, front post, wattle stitch. And so if you go ahead and work that much of this, and then I will show you the crossing of the cable again that we're going to work on each of these cables. Okay, so go ahead and work to this point, and I will show you that. As we come to the cable section, we're just going to continue the outside columns, those 3 front post double crochets, a half double in the half double. Now we're going to cross these cables, these 2 columns again. Skip the next 3 stitches, half double crochet in that next stitch. Now we're going to front post treble in the next 3 stitches. Working in front of those last 4 stitches, we're going to come way over here, and we're going to front post treble in those 3 stitches that we skipped. Like I said, all of the crossing of this particular cable throughout are going to all be front crosses. After that, half double in that half double, and then we're going to work front post double crochets in those next 3 stitches, and then let's go ahead and work that wattle stitch. Okay, and pause and take a look at what we've done. So you can see the 2 completed cables right there in the center. Okay, so we'll just continue on. This again is row 20. We're just going to continue on with the front, back post, front post, back post, wattle stitch, and then again working row 3 of the honeycomb stitch if you're following the written pattern, even though this is actually on row 20. And again, this is a 4-row repeat. You have row 1, 2, 3, and 4, row 1, 2, 3, and 4, row 1, row 2, and then we're on to 3 where we're going to close off the tops of these, which again, just to repeat myself, we are going to work a front cross, a back cross, front cross, back cross, front cross, and then back cross as you work those across. And by now you should be able to use the visuals to know what to do next. After that, you have the 6 stitches, starting with the back post, front post, back post, front post, back post, front post, wattle stitch, and again another cable, and again the same with the honeycomb. And don't forget, you start with the back post on these last 12 stitches and then a half double crochet in the turning chain. So go ahead and work row 20, and then for row 21, when you turn to have the back side facing, continue on with the 12 stitches, following starting with a back post and then ending with a front post as you do that. And again, the 24 back post double crochets across the honeycomb section. And let's take a look at this cable here that we just crossed. When you come to this section, make sure you work 3 back posts, a half double in between that last stitch and next stitch is where the 2 cables or the 2 columns crossed, and then 3 more back post double crochets. Don't forget, skip this half double and work half double in that one there, and then 3 more back post double crochets, etc. So go ahead and work rows 20 and 21. This is what we have after completing 21 rows. Just wanted to get a good look at the honeycomb. So we should have 3 across, and we have 3 completed as well. And you can see the other honeycombs that this forms. All right, let's take a look at the cable. And I'm not drawing attention to the other aspects of this design because they are all remaining the same. Okay, so here we have the cable. Now we're going to do something a little bit different on row 22, which is the row we're going to begin in just a bit. What we're going to do is we're going to take this column and this column, and we're going to form a cable. And we're going to take this column, and they will also form a cable. So we're going to have 2 cable crossings in this row. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start the ribbing with a chain 2 and then a front post, back post, again over those 12 stitches. Don't forget that back post, the wattle stitch, and I'll work a little bit of this with you just so that you are on track. So now that we're at the honeycomb section, it's going to be time for us to work row 1 again of the honeycomb. And the way we do this, skip 2 stitches. We're going to work 2 front post double crochets, and we're going to work a back cross. Let's go ahead and pull that all the way through. Let's go ahead. There we go. So after working those 2 stitches, we're going to work behind those 2 stitches, and we're going to work front post double crochets again inside those, into those 2 stitches that were skipped. Skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble. Let's go ahead and work that second front. Let's try that again. Wrap it twice for the front post treble. Now let's take a look at where we are here, and you can see that these don't need to be showing, but we need to work in front. So this will be a front cross. You'll see what I mean when we're done. Okay, so I've worked the foundation or the row 1 of the honeycomb, if you're following the written pattern, and so it goes down and then up. So we're going to just do the same over the next 2 honeycombs. So I'll go ahead and work those and work the wattle stitches on these front and back post, those 5 stitches there, and the wattle stitch, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the cable after that. I've worked my way to the cable section, and I want to show you how to cross 2 cables. Okay, so we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, half double in that half double crochet. Now we're going to work 3 front post treble crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and let me show you how this looks. Okay, so it's coming out of this cable that has already been previously crossed, twice actually. Now working in front of those 4 stitches, we're going to come over to those 3 stitches that we skipped, and we're going to work 3 front post treble crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to work a half double crochet in that next half double crochet, which is in the middle of that previous cable. So I want you to see that. Now we're going to skip 3 more stitches, 1, 2, 3, half double in the top loops of that half double, and front post treble in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Now after working that, we're going to come back over here and we're going to work front post trebles here, here, and here. Those 3 stitches that we just skipped. It's going to feel like you're reaching across the room, so to speak, but it's really not that far. You'll get used to this after a while, once you get used to the visual nature of it. And I think making them all front cross is going to make them a lot easier than some of the other designs that I have made. Okay, let's go ahead and work a wattle stitch in that place right there, and then let's just pause and take a look. So this is how it should look for row 22 as we cross here and here. Now what we're going to do going forward, we're going to have 2 cables crossing as we go up. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way across the throw through these other sections of it that you know how to do already, and then I will show you the crossing of the cables again. So I've worked across until we get to the next cables that need to be crossed. So let's go ahead and work these together just one more time, just as a refresher, so there's no doubt. Skip 3 stitches, half double, and that next half double, front post trebles in the next 3 post stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Now working in front of those last 4 stitches, we're going to front post treble in those 3 stitches that we just skipped, 1, 2, and 3. And now let's go ahead and work a half double in that next half double. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. We're going to half double in that next half double as well. Just let's stop and look at that. It looks really weird. Okay, you have a half double, half double. Don't worry if this is all stretchy. Don't worry about that. Front post treble in the next 3 stitches. Now working in front of those last 4 stitches, that will be the 3 post stitches and the half double, we're going to front post treble in these 3 stitches that were skipped. Okay, so we have 1, 2, and 3. And then we go back to the wattle stitch. You should have no trouble with these at this point. So let's stop and take another look. So you have the 2 cable crossings there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build up these for a while until we have 2 cables that look like this, but we're going to have a set of cables on this side, and then we'll go back to the single cable in the middle framed by the 2 columns. So that's going to be the way this will alternate. All the while, everything else, as you know, everything else about the throw will just remain the same. The wattle stitches, these post stitches will always be the same. And with the honeycombs, you're going to be working either row 1, 2, 3, or 4. I do that again. Either row 1, 2, 3, or 4 throughout. All right. So I'm going to finish this out again, working row 1 of the honeycomb stitch over this section, and everything else is still the same. Go ahead and do that for row 23 with the back side facing. Remember, we're going to have 24 back post double crochets over the honeycomb section, which is also row 2 of the honeycomb stitch. Okay, and go ahead and work that until you get to the back side of this cable, and I'll show you what this looks like working the row that follows the cable crossing. Now I've come to the back of where both of the cables were crossed the last row. So let's go ahead and work this. We work back post. This is, by the way, this is row 23. Back post double crochets over those next 3 stitches, and this is where those 2 columns are crossed. So we're going to put a half double crochet in between that last stitch and next stitch, just right in between there. You're not trying to get it into loops or anything. And then we have 3 more back post double crochets to work. 1, 2, and then 3. Now after that, we have a half double here that we're going to skip, but then we're going to work in this half double crochet. Remember the math thing we talked about a while back? All right, so just know that you're not adding any additional stitches. Everything is canceling out mathematically, and it's fine. Okay, so then we do that again. 3 back post double crochets, and these are going to be on top and with the front side facing, and these are the stitches that your finger, the nerve endings in your fingers are going to feel first. Okay, so I did 3, and then again in between that last stitch and next stitch, in between where those columns crossed, just work a half double crochet again, and then 3 more back post double crochets. And it's as simple as that. We're going to skip that half double, and then we go right to the wattle stitch. So let's pause a minute. It's kind of hard to see from the back because it doesn't really look like much, but when we turn it around to look at the front side, and we've just worked from this direction here with the back side facing us, so we have those 3 back post double crochets, a half double worked in between where this column and that column have crossed, 3 more back post double crochets, and then we skipped a half double on the back side, and we worked a half double there in the one that's in the middle, 3 more back post double crochets, a half double again in between where those 2 columns crossed, and then 3 more back post double crochets. So that's pretty much it. It's the same thing that we did with the 1. It's just that we're doing 2, one right after the other. So go ahead and finish row 23. So this is what you should have after completing 23 rows. Let's just spend a special time looking at the cable, because this is the one thing that is different that I haven't taught again and again on these other sections. So what I'm going to primarily focus on moving forward is this cable portion. But we'll go ahead and talk about the honeycomb as well. So with the honeycomb, we've worked rows 1 and 2 of the stitch, the honeycomb stitch. So now it's time on row 24 to work row 3 of the honeycomb. Again, if you're following with the written pattern, everything else is going to remain constant. The ribbing, the wattle stitches, nothing here is changing. Now, for the cables, the 2 cables that you have in the throw, we are going to just work front post double crochets over these stitches, front post, half doubles and a half doubles, again, front post, half double, 3 front post, half double, 3 front post, etc. on row 24. And then when you turn to have the back side facing, you're going to work back post double crochets, just like we did with the single cables here. It's the same. So we're going to work front post double crochets with the front posts, with the front side facing, back post double crochets when the back side is facing you. Everything else remains constant. Again, just beware. Again, just a reminder that that one section that has 6 post stitches, don't forget that. And be sure that as you work across, that you don't forget the stitch, the post stitch on the back side that starts the 12 stitches. It is a back post. I just want to be sure that you're not skipping those. And again, after you've completed the front side facing on every row, just do a quick visual check. Do my cables look normal? Have I crossed them in the way that I was supposed to cross them? Especially with the honeycombs, just get a quick look. The more comfortable we get with these, quite honestly, the easier it is to just zoom along and make a mistake. It's better to catch it now, so you only have to rip out just a little under a row, than to find it 4 or 5 rows later and then have to rip out a ball of yarn. I mean, that would be so... I've done it, so that's why I'm stopping often and saying, please check, 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 and then continue on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and work rows 24 and 25. This is what we have after completing 25 rows. You can see the honeycomb continues to develop, and this is really what I wanted to focus on here are the cables. So you do see 2 cables now forming. And so now for rows 26 and 27, well, first of all, row 26, we're going to cross the cables again. Since you've already seen that, I'm going to just go ahead and give the assignment. If you need to look back at what this looks like, go ahead and take a look back at row, I think it's 22. Yes, 22. And you can back it up. I'll put a little time mark for row 22, and you can double check to see how those cables are crossed. Again, it's the same way that we've crossed them here, 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 and here. So I'm going to go ahead and start this with the chain 2 again and work over those 12 ribs. Everything again is the same, remains the same throughout. For the honeycomb, we're going to be working row 1 again of the honeycomb stitch. And like I said, we're going to cross both of these cables, and that also goes for the cables right back here as well. So that's what you're going to do for row 26. For row 27, we'll be working with the back side facing, and because of that, when you work the back post double crochets over the cross cables, make sure that you put the half double crochet in between the first and the last stitch. It'll be where those 2 columns come together, and you just put that half double crochet right in the middle. So go ahead and work rows 26 and 27. This is what we have after completing 27 rows. So with the honeycombs, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. So 4.5 long, and we still are 3 wide, which will remain. And here are our cables. So we have the 2 completed cables here, and then the crossover, and then we have 1 cable completed. And so what we're going to do in the next 2 rows, this is going to be rows 28 and 29. For row 28, for the cables, we're just going to work front post double crochets and of course the half doubles in between. And then for the row that follows that, row 29, we're just going to work back post double crochets and half doubles in the half doubles, of course. So we're just building this up a little bit further. Okay, now for the honeycomb section, we're going to work row 3. So we worked row 1 here, row 2 with the backside facing, and then row 3 of the small honeycomb pattern. Everything else remains the same. You just continue in pattern stitch the way we've been doing for the past 27, or I guess 17 rows, because we started at row 10 and upward with this pattern stitch. Okay, so go ahead and work rows 28 and 29. So this is what we have after completing 29 rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 honeycombs completed vertically, and these are the cables. So we have the singles, 2 singles here, and then we have 2 sets, almost 2 sets of doubles. After this row, we will have that. Now for row 30, it's pretty much going to be what we did back on row 26, although the honeycomb may be slightly different. So for row number 30, we're going to start again by working row 1 of the honeycomb. For the honeycomb section, everything, the turning chain, everything else remains constant in the pattern stitch. Now for the cabling, it's time to cross the cables once again, just like we did on row 26. So we're going to cross these cables with front crosses, and then when we work row 31, coming back the other way, we're going to work back post double crochets in each of the post stitches. But don't forget that in between where those 2 columns cross, that you work a half double crochet in between where they cross. And again, if you need stitch support, look at the bottom of the screen. I will put again the row where I demonstrated that. Okay, so that's pretty much what you're going to do. So go ahead and work rows 30 and 31, and then I'm going to give a larger assignment after that. So what we're going to do from row 32 onward is we're going to be repeating a section that starts at row 12, which is where this first cable was crossed, and we have the 2 columns on either side. So that is row 12. We're going to repeat row 12 through row 31, which was the last row that we worked with the backside facing. So rows 12 through 31 is going to be your repeat. And again, look across the bottom of the screen and I will show you just how many repeats of that section. So what you can do, if you need stitch support, I want you to, again, look at the bottom of the screen. And I know I'm sounding like a broken record for those of you old enough to understand that phraseology. Look across the bottom and I will give you the time mark where row 12 begins. And the good thing about this pattern is as you go back to row 12, it matches perfectly with the honeycomb. So everything that you see in that video from row 12 through row 31 is an exact repeat of what you need to do. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to work those repeats. But before I do that, I'm going to work this section with you right here. This is, I have already worked row 32 to the point where I have my cable ready. And I want you to see what this looks like. Again, this is row 31, but it's also would be very similar for if you just want to go back and look at the repeat of row 12. Okay, so I'll go ahead and work this with you. We're going to work 3 front post double crochets, and so these 3 double crochets are going to become a column just like this was at the beginning of this. Okay, and then I'm going to work a half double in that next stitch. Now we're going to cross this cable, or this column rather, and this column over here. So first thing we do, skip 3 stitches, half double in that half double, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, okay. After that, working in front of those last 4 stitches, we're going to come back over here and work front post trebles here, here, and here. So I'm going to just want to be really clear so that you understand what's happening and where to work these as you do the repeats. Half double, and that half double, and then this column on the outside will also just continue to grow as a column and will not be involved in crossing cables for several rows. So let's go ahead and stop, and you can see how this looks. I know it looks kind of strange right now, but it will look like this once you do a couple more rows. Okay, so we're going to just have the 1 cable in the center and the columns on each side. Yes, I know I'm repeating myself. I'm trying to say it a couple of different ways so that it's understood. So now go ahead and repeat. Again, like I said before, if you need stitch support, go ahead and go back to row 12 and repeat rows 12 through 31. All right, I am nearing the transition point to go back to the ribbing at the end of my throw, and let me give you some numbers and tell you what I have done. So everything other than the cabling should have remained constant as you've worked across on these many rows. So far I have worked 121 rows. This section here where you have the single cable surrounded by the columns, which is doubled of course, starting here and then up through the tandem cables here. That 20 row repeat, that would be repeating rows 12 through 31. I have repeated that 4 additional times. This is in addition to the original one that I instructed you on. Okay, and then I also added 10 additional rows, and that would be repeating rows 12 through 21 1 time more. Okay, so now we have the front side facing, and I am going to transition back to where I can work ribbing. And let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain what I'm going to do as I go across. I'll explain it first. Okay, we're just going to work the pattern stitch the same for the ribbing here, the ribbing sections in between the motifs, and of course at the end of the row. As we work across these stitches, we're just going to work front post double crochets. When we work over the wattle stitches, we're going to skip the double crochet. We're going to work 2 double crochets into the chain 1 space and 1 into the single crochet of each of the wattle stitches. So each of the wattle stitches is going to turn back into 3 double crochets. All right. As we're working over the cables, we're just going to continue to work front post double crochets and go ahead and work half doubles in the half double spaces, and again front post double crochets, half doubles, front post, half doubles, etc. And then again, when you get to the wattle stitches, we're going to work 2 double crochets and then 1 double crochet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work my way through the ribbing just the way we normally will, and I will show you the way to work those wattle stitches. So after having worked those ribbed stitches at the beginning, we're going to skip the double crochet of this wattle stitch, work 2 double crochets into that same chain 1 space, and then 1 into that single crochet. Working across the honeycomb section, we are going to work front post double crochets, and there's going to be, let's see, yeah, 1 in each of those honeycomb stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and work across these, and then I'll show you the other sections. And then after working over those honeycombs with those front post double crochets, we come to the wattle stitches, and then again skip that first double crochet of the wattle stitch, 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space, and then 1 in that single crochet of the wattle stitch. Again, you have 3 stitches for each wattle stitch, and then go ahead and work over those rib stitches. We're just going to continue doing those in the same way: front post double crochet, back post double crochet, etc. over these stitches. And again, coming to another wattle stitch, skip that double crochet, 2 double crochets, very important, in that chain 1 space, and then 1 in that single crochet. And now we come to the cable, and we're just going to work this the way we normally would at this point in the pattern. We have 3 front post double crochets, a half double in the half double. And let me say a word about this. On the next row that we work, all half doubles will be treated the same as these other stitches. Just want to be very clear about that. Treat it the same as you would these front or back post double crochet. So we have 3 more front post double crochets. And let me also add another piece of information. I probably should have said this sooner, but if you want this throw longer than the designated size, you can always add another 10 row repeat or even a 20 row repeat at this point before you transition to the ribbing. All right, so back to the stitching here, half double in the half double, and again front post double crochets in each of those post stitches, half double in the half double, and front post double crochets in those next 3 post stitches. And then once again we come to a wattle stitch, skip the double crochet, 2 double crochets worked into that chain 1 space, and then 1 into the single crochet. So go ahead and work this row. This will be row 122. Go ahead and work that all the way across. Now for the next 8 rows, this is going to be rows 123 through 130. They are basically the same. Now the odd numbered rows, that would be 123, 125, 127, 129, are going to start by skipping that first stitch and working a back post double crochet. The even number rows will start with a front post double crochet. So we work over those 12 stitches initially. That's the ribbing that we've been working all along. So I'll go ahead and work those. After working over those first 12 stitches, we're just going to continue to maintain the front and back post alternating. So we ended with a front post, then the next stitch is going to be a back post, front post, back post. These are over those wattle stitches. And then again, we're treating all these stitches the same, including the half doubles, front post, back post, and we're going to alternate that all the way across. So I'm going to work these alternating until I get to the ribbed stitches that divide the motifs, and I will just show you how those line up. Now I just finished working over that wattle stitch, front post, back post, front post, and ta-da, working these stitches that are in the center that divide the motifs. We have a back post, so this does work out. I just wanted to show you this: front post, back post, back post, front post, okay, and then a back post. These are over those established stitches that were in the center between the different motifs, and then we just continue that along: front post, back post, front post, back post, etc. So now if it doesn't, let me give you some troubleshooting information. If this doesn't work out and line up according to this, you've probably either added an extra stitch or omitted a stitch at some point. And if you did that, I would just try to maybe add an additional stitch here so that this continues to line up. You don't, let's look at the front side. You don't want to break this up. Okay, you want this to maintain consistency with the ribbing, because that's going to give it a really excellent look. If you tried, to go against that, it's going to be a glaring problem. Okay, or you can go back and see where extra stitches were added in or where stitches were omitted. Now, the rows that follow this row, because this row that we're working on, again, this is row 123. This is establishing the ribbing, and once you establish that, you want to maintain it. And like I said, if the front side is facing, you begin with a front post. If the back side is facing, you begin with a back post. And you just want to make sure that you continue to maintain that throughout the next 7 rows that follow. So go ahead and finish those rows, and I will show you what I have. Well, I hope you enjoyed making my Blue Ridge throw today. If you did, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment in the comments section below. God bless. Bye-bye.